real quick. What exactly is the president denying? Is he denying that he ever spoke these words to the widow, that that he must have known what he signed up for, or is he just saying that she took it the wrong way and was taken out of context? His words?
The president's call, as accounted by multiple people in the room, believed that the president was completely respectful, very sympathetic, and expressed the condolences of himself and the rest of the country, and thanked the family for their service, commended them for having an American hero in their family. And I don't know how you could take that any other way.
It wasn't that he didn't say those words. It was that the context. He felt that she put it in the wrong context. Is that it?
I'm not going to get into the back and forth. I think that the sentiment of the president was very clear. He took the time to make a call to express his condolences, to thank the family for this individual's service. And I think it, frankly, is a disgrace of the media to try to portray an act of kindness like that and that gesture, and to try to make it into something that it isn't. Peter.
Sarah, did the president speak to his chief of staff, General John Kelly, before invoking his son's death and what has become a political argument?
I know he's spoken to General Kelly multiple times yesterday and today.
On this very topic, in other words, did General Kelly know he would be raising the issue of his son's memory when talking about
I'm not sure if he knew of that specific comment, but they had certainly spoken about it, and he's aware, and they've spoken several times since then.
So can you describe how General Kelly feels about it? Is he comfortable with the way his son's memory is?
I think that General Kelly is disgusted by the way that this has been politicized, and that the focus has become on the process and not the fact that American lives were lost. I think he's disgusted and frustrated by that. And if he has any anger, it's towards that. Fred? Fred?
Yeah, thanks, sir. The House a few weeks back passed the ban on pain-capable abortions. I want to see, the president has, or the ONG has said that the president would sign this legislation. Is the White House putting pressure on the Senate to pass the Lindsey Graham bill that would ban the 20-week?
I'm sorry, what was the last part of the question?
Is the White House putting pressure on the Senate to pass the Lindsey Graham 20-week ban?
I know that there have been conversations about that, and the administration supports that policy, but beyond that, I don't know if there have been further conversations or pressure applied, but certainly support that effort.
Sarah.
April.
Sarah, Congresswoman Wilson, I talked to her a couple of hours ago, and she says that this is the president's Benghazi. She says that that Jackson was, and the Green Berets were in Niger trying to find out information and doing a mission about Boko Haram. And she said that his transmitter was still emitting for 2 days, emitting a signal when he was located. And she says that makes no sense why he wasn't located. What say you about that? And also, what do you say about her comment that he did not know, and the wife, the widow, said that the president did not know his name? He kept saying, "Your God, your God."
Just because the president said "your guy," I don't think that means that he doesn't know his name. As the president stated, the hardest job he has is making calls like that. I think it is appalling what the Congresswoman has done and the way that she's politicized this issue, and the way that she is trying to make this about something that it isn't. This was a president who loves our country very much, who has the greatest level of respect for men and women in the uniform, and wanted to call and offer condolences to the family. And I think to try to create something from that the Congresswoman is doing is frankly appalling and disgusting.
What did you say about what she said about Boko Haram and Niger? What did you say about what she said about the mission and been comparing?
As I said to Major before, I'm not going to get into the details of that action at this point.
Was she right?
As I said before, I'm not going to get into the details of that action at this time, and when we have further information, I'll be happy to discuss it with you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Pally.
Thank you. I just want to, setting aside the Congresswoman, setting aside the discussion about the politicization of this, the woman who raised Sergeant Johnson spoke to the Washington Post and said she felt like her son had been disrespected. And again, I'm not asking about what Congresswoman Wilson had to say. I'm not asking about any of that. But given that somebody who has, as you rightly note, making these phone calls is probably one of the hardest things a commander-in-chief has to do. Given that, Is the president at all reconsidering the way that he communicates with these families? Has General Kelly counseled him on perhaps how he might want to choose or change his words in the future?
General Kelly was present for the call and thought it was completely appropriate. He thought the call was respectful, and he thought that the president did the best job he could under those circumstances to offer condolences on behalf of the country.
And was empathetic
Philip.
enough, Sarah? Was there part, is that
On
part of it?
NAFTA, the Canadian and the Mexican negotiators have rejected the U.S. proposals that were described as unconventional and troubling. Is NAFTA dead?
Not yet, but as the president said, it's a bad deal, and he wants to make sure that we have a deal that benefits American workers. That's what this administration is focused on. We're going to continue to push forward, and if we can't get there, then we'll let you know what the changes are. Francesca.
Thank you, Sarah. In a tweet this morning, President Trump said that former FBI Director James Comey lied, leaked, and totally protected Hillary Clinton. He also asked, where is the Justice Department on this? What exactly does the president want the Justice Department to do? Is he calling for a prosecution of James Comey? What's he asking for here?
Look, the White House hasn't and won't offer a legal opinion on Comey's conduct, but in fact, to the contrary, the White House has actually deferred, as it should, any and all legal questions regarding Director Comey to the Department of Justice. That's the appropriate venue for those things to be dealt with.
What's he asking the Department of Justice to do, though, in his tweet this morning? That's what I'm asking.
We refer any legal action to the Department of Justice. Anything on that front would be handled by them. Sarah.
Sarah, normally when the president is upset about something, we hear from him pretty quickly about it, whether it's an issue with the senator, whether it's an issue with the NFL. So why did it take nearly 2 weeks for him to say something about this ISIS ambush? Not to reach out for the families necessarily, but even to offer public condolences or to explain to the American public what happened and how the deadliest combat mission involving American troops went so wrong.
As I said before, there is a protocol for that, but there's also, we did make public remarks from the administration. I know I did in short order after that happened from the podium at the direction of the president, and I speak on his behalf, and I did that on behalf of the president and the administration.
Sarah, you brought up politicizing a couple of times in relation to Congresswoman Wilson, but did the president politicize General Kelly's son's death by bringing it up as a defense for his claims about what past presidents did or did not do with
He was responding to a question and stating a fact.
Just to clarify your earlier answer, you're not denying that in some point in the conversations the president used the words, "it's what he signed up for."
I spoke specifically to the sentiment that was offered by the president. I didn't get into the details of a personal call because I don't find that to be that appropriate. Trey?
Thank you, Sarah. You opened up at the top discussing the liberation of Raqqa. So my question for you is, how does the president envision future U.S. involvement in both Syria and Iraq post-ISIS?
We want to continue to work with our coalition forces to completely destroy and defeat ISIS. Right now, that's the priority, and that's the focus, and that's what we're going to continue to be focused on at this time. Thank you, guys.